There are a lot of changes coming to Call of Dragons in the upcoming update, and I have Mr. Sneaky with me today to kind of discuss them. We've had him on the channel recently and talked about the potential of these changes coming. Some things he liked, other things he didn't, so I wanted to hook up with him again and see what's going on. Mr. Sneaky, thanks for coming through the channel. I know you've spoken about this on your live streams, I know you've spoken about it in your videos, but we haven't spoken about it together. So first of all, I guess let's just dive into the stuff. What do you think about the new heroes? I'm assuming that you like the idea of new heroes coming to the game.
Yeah, I really do, honestly, and I like the whole way they've done the heroes too. I know some people are upset that they're not mage heroes, but there's the big but that people dislike to hear. But with infantry coming first, it allows, in my head, the infantry players to actually use those heroes, because if you think if mages come first and then they bring the infantry, well, the infantry are already counted, right? Because mage heroes inevitably beat infantry. So at least this gives the infantry players a full season. You know, you get to try them out at the full power before the mage heroes come and put you in line, you know, because you might be technically in charge of the meta, who knows, right? Yeah. So I do like him. I do like the two new heroes as well. I like the fact that you've got an infantry PvP tank, so you've got the exact same setup as Madeline, which is really good. And then you got Goresh with the funky hairstyle. I kind of love the concept art for him and what they've done. But him being infantry rallying precision, you know, really interesting combination there. So I do like the two new heroes, and the fact that you can get him in the Wheel of Destiny still, and you know, we guessed Scourgirl being Lucky Spin, and in the patch notes she is Lucky Spin, so that's great, and Goresh being Strongest Lord. So yeah, I'm actually liking it. I'm liking the two new heroes.
I mean, it's pretty easy to like new heroes coming, right? Because it's an addition to the game, and every season we can get new heroes if we want to. I agree, a lot of people were hoping for some mages, but I like your explanation of it and your kind of how you broke down why it's actually okay. Now, we don't need to go through everything, but I know there's a new legendary artifact, new beasts, new wonders. Overall, in general, before we get to some of the bigger things, you excited about any of that, or is it just kind of like little game changes? Anything good, anything bad on any of those fronts?
It'd be interesting to see what the artifact is, right? It's always kind of cool to see, especially like it's infantry PvP control. So being control means it should have some sort of crowd control effect towards it, right? So that's what we can assume. But apart from that, the only other thing I like, which was kind of caught me off guard, was the new beast being a Night Rock. That was kind of cool off guard, because a lot of people kind of, including myself, expected maybe a new bear or even the owl, which you kind of see in the War Pet trailers if you've ever checked those out. So we thought, oh, maybe we get one of those guys, but no, we've got a completely different rock, and I didn't even know this was in the file, so this is even a shock to me, right? So that's kind of the one I really like as well about that area.
Well, they shocked you. I like that. A little something out of the blue. All right, now something that I was happy about was Dragon Trail. Now, I don't know why they renamed Dragon Glass to Trail Coins. I actually like the name of Dragon Glass, but Trail Coins, okay, I mean, whatever, it's just the name of something. But they reduced the difficulty of stages 61 through 80 in Season 1. So we spoke about this in our last video together, how when they were talking about potentially not doing reset, how things would have to get easier and they would get progressively longer. And I know that you were kind of on the fence of how you felt about reset happening inside of the game. So there's a lot to discuss regarding reset here, but with Dragon Trail itself, how do you think this affects people like yourself, hardcore players that are in there for hours a day, and players that maybe only play for half hour a day? What's your balance there on Dragon Trail specifically?
Yeah, it's interesting what they've done. I kind of agree with you with the name change, what you said. Like, I don't get it. I said it even in my video. I was like, why did they change it from Dragon Glass to Trial Coins? It just sounds so generic and boring. At least like Dragon Glass sounds like, yeah, boys, like this is like kind of something you want to earn, right? Right. So hopefully they use Dragon Glass in the future for a different term. Who knows, right? But the whole Dragon Trial concept, I said it's kind of the same thing, kind of, you know, if you reset a season or you just add in more to it, it's just basically the same concept where you're having to do it anyways, right? Because if you don't do the extra ones that they're added in, you're always going to be at a disadvantage. So it still requires your activity anyway. I do like the fact that, you know, you don't have to worry about the previous ones, and it does help those guys that might want to, you know, wonder what we need to be doing at the end of the season. So like right now, if you're in season 2, you know, you should be cranking out all of your dragon trials. Same with season 1, just crank them all out, because you know in the future it's just gonna expand. So if you get 80 out, 80 complete now at the end of the season, you're getting full, you know, benefit on it. So I'm going to see how it works, you know, because obviously we're not getting prestige anymore from it either, which is a big one. We're getting only prestige from Darklings, Dark Creatures, Tech, and the Merit Store. So we're going to see how that actually affects things. And then obviously this does change the policies. I don't know if we're going to talk about the policies. I'll leave that up to you. But
we could talk. Let's talk about it right now, because it does directly jump right into policies and how that's going to work.
The way with the policies, it's a bit weird for me, because especially if someone who's been playing the game for the duration of how it has been, policies originally started out where you had 2 trees, where one of them was PvE based and then the top one was more PvP based, right? And they purposely said they got rid of the PvP elements because they saw it was imbalanced, right? And they saw an unfair advantage to players, which is fair, and I like that. And I like the fact they did that, and they introduced obviously the resource productions instead, just to help players gain power, which was really nice. But now what they've done is they removed the resource production again, but now they've put in healing. And I think that's even more impactful, because if you can heal more than everyone else, well, you're more advantageous in PvP. So I think that's actually more worse than the original statement, what they had in the very first edition, because it's now basically saying if you're a spender and you have the gems to do it, you are going to out heal everyone who hasn't got the same spending capacity. So that's the way I'm kind of on the fence with when it comes to the policy side of it, because it is good. Everyone gets to fight more because obviously we get more healing. But like I said, there's players now that are going to have an advantage because they can gem through the prestige if they want to, and you just get the healing, you know, capacity or healing production compared to you. So they can always have their, for example, T5 out more than you. So that's the one thing I'm a bit on the fence with. So we'll see how it plays out. Because obviously you can't just assume the worst. But we'll see.
First of all, I feel like you're going to say we'll see how it plays out a lot inside of this video today, which is totally fine. I like that attitude. I do like that if there's more healing, there's more fighting, and that's why a lot of people, this is a fighting game. It's a war game, so that's a positive thing. I want to actually jump to PvE improvements before we talk about war pet changes, because it says after reaching level 50, heroes will gain experience from Darklings and Dark Creatures, which is cool when you're trying to level up your heroes past 50. But in addition to that, rewards for defeating Darklings are now the same. When multiple players work together to defeat Darklings and creatures, all players will receive full amount of experience. What this tells me is, if I'm a weak player, I can go hook up with one of my alliance mates, it's a strong player, go against big Darklings and get massive experience. So I could basically be protected and leveled up by a teammate. This is, I think this is good. What do you think? I feel like it could bring alliances together to actually build up armies together as a whole.
Yeah, no, literally, like I really do love it, because it is that it does allow now you to share XP and not be like get off it, right? That's what it is right now, and it's really good, especially when there's like when you're all hunting for like 25s as well, which is like the one problem where you're looking around and you're like, I kind of wish I got that 25, but they got to it first. I'm kind of going to respect that decision, you know. So like now, at least you could raid with each other and have like a couple of you guys just raiding 25 and just keep trading for ages. I love that. I do love it, because it does for me. And the one thing I love about Call of Dragons, which I always kind of thought was one of its base foundations, was just like how it's kind of like, I won't say like World of Warcraft, but it wants you to be an alliance-based like community, and this is like another step in that direction where you need to work together. If you work together, you're gonna get more, and that's what I love about this game. And this is again step in the right direction for me in it. So I love it. I love that change.
Yeah, I liked it too, and I agree, because when you think about it, everyone tries to level themselves up to be strong, but when you think of it as an alliance as a whole and the game as a whole, helping and even doing things together, being able to help some of the smaller guys is going to help your whole alliance in those battles. All right, let's move on to the War Pet gameplay improvements. What I really just want to ask you here is, I know War Pets were kind of on the fence of how difficult was it to level them up? Was it a huge pay-to-win element inside of the game? All the changes that you've seen come from War Pets, do you think this is an overall positive change? Do you think the developers saw this and said, we need to tweak things a little bit so that it could be more of a loved element inside of the game? What is your general thought on War Pets?
It's a hard one. It's weird because it seems like they're trying, but the more I've been reading the War Pet section and the more I've been actually like trying to see what they've done, it just feels like they haven't addressed any of the actual changes. So anything like we was asking for, there's nothing actually in the favor of the player. So what they're doing here is basically, when you read through all the War Pet changes, is they're basically saying, you guys are basically being dumb. You're not read the descriptions right. So we're going to make it easier for you to do what we want you to do. So that's how I feel about it. It hasn't really changed though. Like, I like the fact that they've said, we've increased the amount of war pets like dropped by removing the trolls. That still doesn't mean I'm gonna get more chances of catching a 25 pet as maybe a 2-star talent, because I've been doing that. I've been trying to do that for the past month, and guess what? I haven't got one. So I don't think that's the problem. It's the fact that we can't capture pets. We've only got 5 warrants. That's the issue, right? We don't get access to this really fun game mode. It seems like it's just literally locked behind closed doors. So the war pet system, in my eyes, just hasn't. I don't know. It's the same. It's in the same state as it was. So that's my brutal honesty on that.
I appreciate
unfortunately.
it. All right, that's cool. I mean, just because there's a couple of changes doesn't mean it actually changes the whole mechanic in the game. All right, really quickly, we could go through a few before I get to the big one I want to talk to you about. An even richer combat experience, rallied army improvements, stronghold changes, combat improvements. Do you think anything here is really noteworthy, or these are just small tweaks inside of the game to make for a little bit of a better quality of life? Or do you think there's some drastic changes in here that you're like super stoked about?
Yeah, the one I'm actually really stoked about was the number 3 point. It just makes sense. It's just a quality of life change. There's nothing like super big that you need to be like, oh my god, like you need to know. But it's the fact that just like, I'm a person who uses this, and anyone else who uses like storm arrows or the wolf woman's a halo knows how infuriating it is to drag your troops onto a target and then blink and then having to click on your troops to retarget them again. Like, and that retargeting time lost, and technically that's time lost that you could have been marching and actually dealing the damage you should have been dealing. So like, it's a really good change. I love that. One of the viewers, and maybe someone in your comment section might say it as well, the stronghold change could be interesting, because I didn't understand it myself, because I kind of stepped out of that leadership and like alliance building role, so I've not really gone in depth in that area. But they were saying it might be interesting because an alliance keep not being counted as a stronghold might mean that a behemoth in PvP combat can target an alliance keep, which would be interesting, right, to see. So that might be something. But apart from that, I just think everything is, like you said, just nice quality of life changes. When you see it in game, you're gonna notice it more than reading it, I think.
Yeah, and that's cool too. Like, it's good for the developers of any game to realize some quality of life things that are sticking points or annoying, and just to kind of clean them up in updates. May not be the biggest thing like you said, but it'll be a nice little change when you're there. All right, we have a more accessible map, terrain improvements. I don't really think there's too much to talk about here. before we go on to exciting seasonal content. Is there anything you want to talk about the more accessible map that you really like, or not really?
Yeah, no, I actually think this is some of the biggest part
All right, what do you like?
of the map. So it's weird. So part 4 here, well, I'll say part 4, the more accessible map kind of jumps with another point later down the line, and it's to do with the truce zone. The truce zone, I think, is going to be one of the biggest things in the game. Obviously, the terrain improvements we expected. I don't know how it's going to work out. We all just kind of cross our fingers, hope and pray the map update is a good map. That's all we're doing. That's all we can take from point 1. But point 2 is really, really good, because it's a truce zone now where all combat's forbidden. You can't get attacked there, and you're basically safe. So what they've done, and this is part of the fix, so this is like part 1 of 2, right, of fixing what a lot was happening in your server and other servers, was the betrayal drama, where you could potentially get an alliance that teleports from zone 1 to your zone 1 by resurging, and getting into an alliance there, right, and being safe for 24 hours, and then they're free to kill you, and you've got nowhere to run. So the truce zone's a really good feature for that. It fixes that problem. You can now technically go to the truce zone if that was going to play out, and at least then you've got no stress on my castle's going to get hit, I'm going to get burned. And that's a really big stress burden off players, which I think is amazing, because it allows then you or Chisgo or whoever might be watching this video the ability to breathe and be like, right, how do we fix the situation? And I think the truce zone's really, really good. We did talk about it a little bit more on mine, and we did discuss like the pros and the cons, because there is some cons to it, but in reality, there's just way too many pros that outweighs the cons. So it's just too good not to have. So yeah, that truce zone in that accessible map is a really important feature that is really good in the game. And when you get to the next, I think it's in the next section anyway, you'll see why that is important with the next point that we'll go over. But everything else, yeah, it's pretty much just like, yeah, right. Like, yeah, okay. Like, we've kind of gone over some of it, like the trolls and beasts anyway. We've said the trolls are getting removed from more war pets, right? So we've kind of gone over that. So if you're wondering what that is, you can check it out. But yeah, we can, that's it. The truce zone is the big one.
Do you think the truce zone is going to be a zone that's utilized by players that are just like farmers inside of the game, really casual players too?
Yeah, this is where, if you want to go into it a little bit more, the truce zone, this is where we're saying, we've basically said all the pros and what it can fix, which is a lot, and which is actually, a lot of people say it can kill the game, is this betrayal drama meta of switching alliances.
Right.
But what the truce zone also does is, like you say, you can technically, in theory, if you are maybe a free-to-play player or you're a player with a farm account, you can jump that farm account into the truce zone forever. We don't know what the resource tiles are going to be like. We don't know anything like that. But in theory, if it has resource tiles, you can infinitely farm without hassle. And then what you could do then is, if it has maybe a 12-hour, 24-hour period where you have to teleport from here to here and you've got to wait before you can do anything, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like a soft lock teleport. That's fine for a farmer, because they'll just shield for 24 hours and teleport to the main and send the resources and go back to the truce zone. So that's like a really cool concept you can do. And you've got to think, as a player, you could abuse it as well. And that's where like certain things can come in. Like, could I potentially teleport my main castle into the truce zone and just sit in the truce zone? And when PvP is about to kick off, I can just teleport to the main zone, you know? That's like some of the cons that could be there, but I still think the pros that we've said, like how it can fix all the backstabbing, how it can allow players to go to an actual safe haven and not have to worry and stuff, it just outweighs these possibilities that a player could be maliciously, take advantage of it, in my eyes.
Oh, good point. I like the breakdown there. Let's move on to exciting seasonal content, which is one of the things that I liked, and I'm not sure that you did. So when the new season begins, if your hero is under level 30, their level will not change. If they're above level 30, they'll be reset to level 30. So essentially what is happening here is heroes aren't being reset all the way down to 0 again at the end of the season. They're now being reset down to 30, which is, a decent amount of grind that's taken away. And I don't know, I like this as someone that doesn't want to have to regrind everything every season. And I like this knowing that I can kind of have all of my heroes sitting at level 30, and then I could choose which season I want to use what, and I could do a little bit of a grind to get them up and above 50 and then kind of be ready to go with them. But I don't know how you feel about it. So this takes away like a lot of what the game came out saying, that now free to play has the opportunity to gain an advantage or have a better chance of competing, I should say, because you can't just have someone spending, they actually have to put the hours in to grind them up too. So probably a big discussion point here. What are your thoughts on it? Are you happy with it or no?
I would be happy with it if they added another bullet point that's missing in this patch. So I kind of like the soft reset. It was weird. I was like torn between it, and the way I said to myself was, if they send it back to level 20, I'd be happy. But they went to level 30, and it's a big difference, especially for players. Because the thing what people are going to be happy about is, I don't have to grind as much, but the thing you've just lost is the ability to actually fix heroes. And that is the biggest thing I think a lot of players are not understanding with a season reset right now. Because in Call of Dragons, as you guys know, there's no skill lock system, there's no skill allocation system, there's nothing like that. So the way we as a player were fixing heroes were, I could have a Kanara at 5-1-1-1-1, and like I was doing, I have 150 sculptures for my Kanara. So what I would be doing is waiting for season reset. She'd go back to 1. I'd get her to level 10, meaning she's 2 stars, and only that second skill's unlocked, meaning I can now forcefully make her a 5-5-1-1 commander. You can't do that now anymore. You physically just cannot do that anymore. You have all of your skills unlocked at the get-go. So if you was trying to fix a commander, even like, and I know a lot of players have done this, and this is why I'm kind of a bit on the fence about it, because a lot of new players make the mistake where they unlock all the skills, and next minute they've got a 1-3-2 commander, and it's impossible to use. And guess what? You've just ruined that entire player's experience now, because they can't fix that hero. So I wish either two things happened basically about this point. I wish either they added another bullet point, which was, and we are now introducing a skill lock system. That would be icing on the cake.
I can't believe they don't have that. They have that in Rise of Kingdoms, right?
Right, exactly.
Right. I'm surprised
they don't have it on here. And the thing is, even if they didn't do that, I even said on my channel, right, if people really dislike the grind of this, right, okay, they can still do the season reset, but instead of just giving you like 600 XP for a level 1, just give us 3,000 XP for level 1. Just give more XP, so then it takes less stuff to kill, and you're grinding less, and you're going to get the exact same objective here. But at least then you still allow season resets to occur, and you still allow heroes to be fixed. And that is like the biggest thing that is so important. So who knows? Maybe the patch comes out and it's not in here, and they secretly add the skill lock system, because they it's weird because they are known for adding extra stuff that's not in the patch notes, which is weird as well. So let's hope. Let's just hope for that.
That happens in all games, by the way. They always have those secret things in the back that they don't share for whatever reason. You make a great point there, and it's not only about having to redo. What would you prefer? Would you prefer it so that it resets to 0 and the grind would be cut like 10 times easier because you get more experience? Or would you prefer a locking system? What do you like as a player, if you could have one?
I'd just reset and go and make it easier.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, what people, I think, want in this game, and I think is the biggest problem, I think they enjoy the whole concepts of the game, but the problem they have with the game at the moment is the time required. Yeah. So if you reduce the time required, players, I think, would be more happy. So instead of making me, spend, like, in one day, like, first day, you might want to get your heroes to like a level 20 or just below 20. Why not just give the ability to give us to like level 40 or level 50 in one day if you really wanted to, just about the amount of XP? And then it just stops all of this
excessive grind and all that.
Yeah, exactly, right? And it solves the problem. And if they really didn't want to add a skill lock system, at least it still gives players flexibility and the ability to do stuff. So the hero one, we'll see how it works. That's the best answer at the end of the day. We have to see how it works.
Yeah.
I had to bite the bullet. I did it on stream earlier. I bit the bullet. I had all my sculptures, and I did because I was like, you know what? I don't even trust it anymore. I don't think there's going to be a skill lock system. I'm going to upgrade my Kanara. And luckily, I don't know if there was the god of luck out there, but it went 5-4-2. So I nearly got the 5-5-1-1 anyway. Wow. So I'm happy. I'm happy.
That's streamer luck right there, man. Good.
Yeah, man.
That makes for a good video, by the way. All right, so we got higher level enemies coming, higher level darklings, dark creatures. At the end of the day, that means more rewards. I like that because who wants to start at 1 and have to move yourself all the way up? Are you still gonna have to start at level 1 and work your way up, or are they gonna? I think it's gonna stay, right?
I don't know.
I hope.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I guess you're right. Who knows? That's always frustrating that you have to go through all the levels again too. You're right though. This kind of goes along with the hero thing, like the grind that has to continuously happen every time there's a new season. I did see artifact levels will not be reset. Yeah. So you're going to be able to level your artifacts to indefinitely, and there's no reset on those.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's a mad one. Yeah, to be honest, it's weird. I like it. It's going to be an interesting one. The only thing I didn't like is the last bit. I kind of wish they just said artifact levels will not be reset, but your dust, because then at least if you didn't use your CP and you didn't do the grind in the previous season, or whatever, and leveled up those artifacts prepared for next season, you're not going to get punished for it. But like now, I just feel like I've already said it in my video. You might as well, if you're watching this video, start grinding all your CP into Arcane Dust and wait, because you could be on 5,000 plus dust pots. Yeah, and just wait. And guess what? I can tell you that 5,000 plus dust pot's going to last you quite a while for the next foreseeable future. So that's the one thing, it's going to be interesting to see. I know that a lot of players are, I think, on the fence about it. I know people want the artifact levels not to be reset, but I don't think they realize when they're a T4 player and then they see a T5 player with maxed artifact hit them for 20k damage at level 30 still. They're going to be like, maybe I kind of wish the artifacts did reset, man. So it's going to be a fun time anyway.
All that players need to do is open up their wallet and just match those whales, man. Then there's no problems whatsoever, right?
That's it. Just drop 50k gems.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit, and I'm going to kind of skim through a bunch of stuff right now, but I know that there was a lot of changes to the alliance system, to when a new season happens, and being able to, the leader can kind of set in place where everyone's going to be to help keep the alliance together. As someone who was a leader and kind of in a management role of an alliance, do you like the changes overall? Because from what I hear, it's like a full-time job to run an alliance in Call of Dragons. It's not something I ever did. So are these changes going to be good quality of life improvements for those leaders?
Oh yeah, definitely. I can already see all the leaders and all the officers like just coming together and just shaking hands like we did it. Somehow we made it, because it's a really good change. Just the fact that a leader can just select the region. No one in the alliance, including like myself now, has to worry about it. I just need to make sure I'm in the right alliance, and then guess what? At the start of the season, I'm in the right region. It's easy as that, right? Which is really good. It's the next one which we talk about is the best bit about this section as well, the resurgence feature. So
let's talk about it. Because I was just going to kind of like skim through the rest. So if there's any other points that you have from here, I know that they did things with Behemoth, they did things with alliance relocation. What do you want? What do you think is worthy?
So in this actual section, everything else, I'm not going to lie, you can skim through it if you want. It's just kind of nice improvements to the season. But the Resurgence feature adjustment is part 2 of the drama plan, which we've been waiting for. So, as you know, we've got the Truce Zone. So the Truce Zone's a really good little feature, as we've already discussed. So now what they need to do to fix any potential backstab is to stop players from doing that craziness. So that's what they do here. So now what you can do, which you still could do in the original season, is, for example, imagine that I'm a spy, I spy on BDM, I find out where you're going to start. So I can still drop my alliance in your starting zone in the first 7 days and try and create carnage and then resurge out. But once those 7 days are up, that's it. You can't do that anymore. You won't be able to resurge. You can't try to do some shady backdoor dealings. You can't backstab until the Augustone stage allows it, which is at the very end of the season. When if you were going to lose, you're going to lose anyway, right? So I love it. I love the fact that they've brought this Resurgence feature and the Truce feature together, and they're like, here you go. This is how we're going to fix this betrayal better. This is it. And I actually think it's a really good way they've done it. I'm not going to lie. Really clever way they've done it. So I really like that feature.
Nice, man. I like that as well. I want to finish off with one question. Why has Call of Dragons not yet defeated Rise of Kingdoms in the popularity battle, my friend? If all of these things are really great and the combat's better, the graphics are better, why are we not there yet?
Do you know what it is? I think it's just because Rise of Kingdoms has been out for so long, people are still stuck in their own ways. I'm not gonna lie, I've been playing another new game. I've been trying another new game, and the one comment I keep getting is, why is this game a copy of Rise of Kingdoms, right? But when anyone plays the game, after saying that comment, they literally reply, I am so wrong. This is nothing like Rise of Kingdoms. And the only reason they say that is because when they look at the game, they see a city builder, it has similar mechanics to Rise of Kingdoms, and it might be either a history-based or, like Call of Dragons say, it's a fantasy-based reskin. But when they actually try the game out properly and give it a real open-minded view, like, people just love the game. Like, it's weird. So I think maybe once this next year is over, I think the tides are going to change, because now we're going to have season 1. There will be season 2, even though we're in season 2 plus. That's just to fix season 2. But then we'll be in season 3. So for a new player experience, it's perfect, because now you go season 1, season 2, season 3. There's no real bugs. There's no real issues. The maps have bounced. The behemoths are working. It's all good, you know. So I think it just needs that setup, and once that setup's in place, that's when you're gonna start seeing popularity. Because I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of hard. It's maybe a little bit distasteful for some people to try and play a game that they know that could be potentially broken, and they have to play another season of it, right? Some people haven't got that mindset, so it's understandable. So I reckon when we get a little bit longer, we're all good.
Yeah, I have my own opinions on that as well. It's hard to take down the behemoth, right? And I'm not talking about behemoths in the game, I'm talking about behemoths in the industry. Rise of Kingdoms is, and has been for a while, the #1 kingdom builder. It kind of invented open world combat and like open free movement, and it was and is a great game. I personally like Call of Dragons more. I like the combat better. I like the graphics better. Although I hear word, maybe it was from you, that Rise of Kingdoms is doing an improved graphic system as well.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're not giving up on that game just yet. They're investing more into it. But it's very hard for any genre to come out with a game that's similar and to take over the #1. So it's like Clash of Clans. I don't think there will ever be a base building and attacking game that beats Clash of Clans. It's just got the industry for too long, people's time investment. Rise of Kingdoms hasn't been out as long as that. It's not 10 years, but it's a similar situation. It takes a lot to pull players away and to get other players to want to play the lesser popular game, even though it may be a better game, which, again, I personally think that Call of Dragons, it's my choice to play. Additionally to that, you mentioned people, like you said, you're playing a different game and people say it's a copy of this. People say that all the time, and it's really kind of a cop-out. Like, is Call of Duty, I mean, is Battlefield a copy of Call of Duty? Like, are all shooters copies of each other because they're the same genre? Like, there are genres of games, and then you'll have a bunch of different games come out within the genre. We have strategy, kingdom builder games. There's going to be a bunch of them that come out, a few of them that succeed. They're not copies of each other. It's a genre, and they are inspired by one another, which makes for good competition inside of these games, in my opinion, and makes for better games to come out over time. So who knows in 5 or 10 years what mobile kingdom builders are going to look like. That's going to be exciting to see. But are there any last things from the notes that you wanted to mention, or did we kind of cover it pretty well in your opinion?
The only thing is the Behemoth raids. Apart from that, I think everything else is good. If a quick general one is you're getting a new event, treasure hunt, you're getting Black Friday event, which is really cool, and then they're just fixing Trial of Light, Titan's Legacy, and I think it's Celestial Battlefield, if I remember right. So they're just making changes to those other game modes to make them funner. But me and Slongers were talking about this on the podcast last week, and we was theorizing about it, and we were right, and we love it, and I can't wait for this to come out. Thank you.
Nice, man. I like to hear the theory crafting working.
Yeah, this whole Behemoth raid was the savior of the patch. I don't care what anyone says. This is the best part of the entire patch, because this whole concept is so fun, because it's a way for players like me. I could play with you now, or I could play with Chisgo, or I could even start a stream and be like, right, first 4 or 5 players who in the chat say this, you're coming in the team, and we can have a really good content creator viewer experience where, guess what, we can all work together. Doesn't matter what server you're on, 'cause it's a cross server event, and we can kill behemoths together. It's so good. And that's what I was saying, I think earlier, about taking approaches like the XP system, where you're bringing the community together, where you have to work together. When you're doing stuff like that, that's what makes a great game. That's what made World of Warcraft. Everyone knows World of Warcraft, right? So I think if they continue to actually go down the path of, let's get everyone together, let's make everyone actually work together to do really cool events like this, that's what's going to make Call of Dragons separate to Rise of Kingdoms and any of these other games, because they don't offer that.
I think any game that has servers like this, that's able to do cross-server events of any nature, is great. Because, I mean, you could think about it in any game. How many times have you wanted to play with friends, but you're not in the same server? I also agree with you, especially for you as someone who streams the game regularly. I think that would be a great event for you to do with some of your loyal viewers, some of your members of your channel. Just bring them in as like a perk. Come play, and we can play on stream together. I think it's a great feature. Speaking of your channel, you do live streams almost every day, videos every single day. You have your podcast. You live and breathe Call of Dragons. So why don't you let everyone know a little bit more about your channel, what you do, where they can find you. And I'll be linking it in the description of this video, so make sure you go check him out and see if you like what he's got.
Yeah. So the channel just Mr. Sneaky. Check me out. I am a Call of Dragons content creator, as you guys know. And like you said, we started a new podcast. It's a really cool way of basically talking about Call of Dragons. And it's called The Scout Report, which is a really cool little term on it. And basically it's just a crossover where we just bring hopefully a guest on, and we've had a guest on nearly every episode so far. And we just talk about, either it could be like maybe as a content creator like I had with Slongers, and we just talk about how content creator life and Call of Dragons like overlap, or you get a whale on and we ask him his experience of Call of Dragons. So it's a really nice eye-opening. But then on the channel we just do guides. So if you want any guides, PvP, you name it, Call of Dragons, we've got it on there. That's the whole premise of our channel. So yeah, man, thank you for having me on, Echo.
It's my pleasure, man. Thanks for coming through the channel. Everyone go make sure you check him out. The link is in the description, and we'll see you guys back here with another video very soon.